Good morning, students. Today we shall discuss Robert Browning's poem My Last Duchess. First of all, we shall discuss at length about Robert Browning. Robert Browning was an English poet and playwright. He belongs to Victorian age of English literature. He was widely recognized for dramatic monologue. In his poetry, we meet the characters like kings, dukes, painters, scholastic persons. He is a master of dramatic monologue, and he portrayed the psychological characteristics of kings, painters, dukes, and scholastic persons. Browning was a prolific writer, but is most well known for his long form blank poem, The Ring and the Book, the story of a Roman murder, trial in 12 books. A series of lyrics, including the Pied Piper of Hamelin and Porphyria's Lover. Robert Browning was born on May 7, 1812 in Camberwell, the first child of the Robert and Sarah Anna Browning. His mother was a fervent evangelical and accomplished pianist. Browning had borrowed the concept of dramatic monologue from British literature, and in 1830 he met the actor William Macready and tried several times to write verse drama for the stage. At about the same time, he began to discover that his real talents lay in taking a single character and allowing him to discover himself to us by revealing more of himself in his speeches than he suspects the characteristics of that dramatic monologue. Dramatic monologue means speaker speaks and listener listens. The dramatic monologue is a speech in poetic medium with a dominant dramatic note. It is cast in the form of a speech addressed to a silent listener. The speaker himself answers unspoken thoughts of the listener. The speaker of the monologue indulges in self-analysis and self-introspection. And in this way, his soul is laid bare in the poem. Dr. B. Prasad describes it thus: the dramatic monologue is part drama, part poetry. It is predominantly psychological, analytical, meditative, and argumentative. The aim of dramatic monologue is character study or psychoanalysis without the other dramatic adjuncts and dialogue. It is different from the drama in its complex lack of action and interchange of speech. Now we shall discuss about the poem My Last Duchess. Browning is best known for his use of the dramatic monologue. My Last Duchess is an example of this, and it is also reflect Browning's love of history and European culture, as the story is based on the life of an Italian duke from the 16th century. The characters mentioned in this poem are based on real life historical figures. The narrator is Duke Alfonso II, who ruled a place in northern Italy called Ferrara between 1559 and 1597. The duchess of whom he speaks was his first wife, Lucrezia de Medici, who died in 1561, aged 17, only 2 years after he married her. In real life, Lucrezia died in suspicious circumstances and might have been poisoned. The poem is set in 1564, 3 years after the death of the Duchess. So thus we see the poem the poem has a tragic end. My Last Duchess is narrated by the Duke of Ferrara to an envoy of another nobleman, whose daughter the Duke is soon to marry. These details are revealed throughout the poem, but understanding them from the opening help to illustrate the irony that Browning employs. At the poem's opening, the Duke had just pulled back a curtain to reveal to the envoy a portrait of his previous Duchess. The portrait was painted by Frappendorf, a monk and painter whom the Duke believes captured the singularity of the Duchess' glance. However, the Duke insists to the envy that his former wife's deep, passionate glance was not reserved solely for her husband. As he puts it, she was too easily impressed into sharing her affable nature. His tone grows harsh as he recollects how both human and nature could impress her, which insulted him, since she did not give special favor to the gift of his 900 years old family, name and lineage, refusing to deign to lessen her on her unacceptable love of everything. He instead gave commands to have her killed. The Duke then ends his story and asks the envoy to rise and accompany him back to the Count, the father of the Duke's impending bride and envoy's employer. He mentions that he expects a high dowry, though he is happy enough with the daughter herself. He insists that the envoy walks with him together, a lapse of the usual social expectation, where the higher ranked person would walk separately. And on their descent, he points out a bronze bust of the god Neptune in his collection. Thus, we see in this poem Duke's nature, that Duke is not a man of good nature. He is a greedy person and he is a cruel person. We can appreciate Duke on one account, that he appreciates art. He is fond of art. Otherwise, there is no positive virtue in Duke. As far as Duchess is concerned, she was a noble lady. She was an innocent lady, and it was her destiny to meet the death, to meet the end. So, thus we can say the poem is remarkable for dramatic monologue. And second thing, Duke was a man of autocratic nature. He boasted himself that he belongs to the family of 900 years old aristocratic background. The Duke is extremely possessive. He puts much emphasis on the word my. He wanted his wife to concentrate on him alone. The Duke could not tolerate his wife's thanks to anybody. He wanted to treat his wife as a domestic comfortable thing with full control over her. The Duke likes the bronze portrait of sea god Neptune, in which the sea god is taming a seahorse. It was done specially for the Duke by the great sculptor Claus of Innsbruck. It is an imaginary artist invented to impress the messenger, just as he had invented the name of the painter Frappendorf. The sea god controlling a seahorse aptly suggests the character of the Duke, who is fond of taming his wives. The Duke, by his ways and behavior, leaves an impression that he is barbaric, savage, and devoid of all natural joys and happiness. He is irritated by the idea that his wife loves natural phenomena, such as the scene of the setting sun, boughs of cherries from some auspicious pool, and riding on the white mule round the terrace. So the Duke was a greedy man. He cleverly lays down before the Count's messenger his expectation of rich dowry. The Duke puts forward his demand for rich dowry in a very cunning way. He tells the envoy that the Count's generosity is ample guarantee that all his claims regarding dowry will be accepted. To conclude the war poem, we can say that Duke was not a man of good nature. He was not a humanitarian at all, and on the contrary side, Duchess was a noble lady, or from Indian point of view, we can say she was a sanskar-centered lady. She used to appreciate whatever she likes. It hardly matters. Thanks.